Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to our trading room and our daily webinar. This will also be the weekly outlook. To my YouTube viewers, my apologies. I couldn't be there yesterday because I'm traveling and I had a few issues with my computer to set it back to running. And everything should be okay from now. So you'll have your weekly outlook as usual next Monday morning early. Let's go. So we're going to start with daily dollar index. And as usual, dollar, put it to the one. Our dollar index is still going up. Nothing new here. We're still. Let me go to the higher time frame. I'll do some of them in the higher time frame. Like I said, this thing could still go up quite a lot. It broke the top. That by itself has given us an idea that the pattern might be completed. These are very old things in the chart. Let me take them out. These are very old because I'm using a computer that I haven't used for about a year. So there'll be a lot of old drawings in it. I haven't removed them. We'll remove them as we go. So even though it is a very old one, you would see that we were looking at this one for the break of the top when it comes to the bottom. So that was within the range we're in, and this one is going up. So we've got that impulse. It's going. If you're following me for a while, you would know that we wanted to break this top. And when it breaks the top, you start looking for when it's going to turn. We started looking at that turn, and we did some sales in that. Then it went back. We assumed that it would make a flag. It didn't make a flag. It broke the top again. It pulled back. It's breaking it up again. Now, there might be a good chance that we will come back and look at this one as a running flat, or there is another option of making, I think this wouldn't fit. I think that could be a running flat. So which means this could drop anytime. And anytime doesn't mean it's going to drop now. It doesn't mean you stop buying, right? It's something we keep doing in our trading quite a lot, understanding all the different situations and how you should react and what you should do. But knowledge of what could happen is important. Knowing that it could drop anytime is more important than not knowing that. Not thinking, well, okay, it's going up, I should be buying. That is, if it's going up and you're buying, great. You just have to be cautious in every buy, which means every buy could be the last one. And if you know that, you're going to treat it like in the last buy, which means you're going to move your stop, you're going to try to protect your account so that one big drop does not blow up your account. And you may say to me, well, that's not possible, right? Well, we have had traders who have made that possible. And I know there are hundreds of thousands of traders out there who have made that possible already with one single trade going up. So what I would tell you is be careful of that. You have to move your stops. You have to protect what you have. And if you know all of that, then great. If you don't, hope you're taking out. So let's go. Any sell setup we get, we will take. Any sell setup. Once there's a valid sell setup, we'll take it. Any buy setup, it's a choice. But you should take it, right? But you just have to manage it. So we get good flags, we buy. We don't get good flags, we get hell of a lot. Right now, I don't really see good flag. I don't see anything here that's a flag to buy. There is a 1 hour very small flag, but it's not a classical flag. It's kind of doing more of this, which means that, I want to see it consolidate more like this sideways, and then that could be a safe buy. Buying a running flat here, you have to be very careful. It could break the tip of the running flat and drop. So right now, there is no buy setup, but if it consolidates here, we will buy. If it starts to drop, we need a flag before we can sell. Right? So there's really no trade. Euro, we had some very good sells before I left last Thursday. And after that, I think my traders would have chosen some more sells. I hope they did because it kept dropping. And well, now we would have to see how we put these. And I think this would make a perfect running flat here. Either we put this as the running flat, that's one option. Or you even put this one as a running flat, that's the second option. Because this has a complete flat by itself, I think putting this one as a running flat would make more sense. So now you can put this as a correction, and that is a running flat. And some running flats you're only going to see way after the fact, because that's how they work. That could go as a correction itself. I would not put that as a contracting flat there. I'll put that as a correction itself. And now we wait. Any flag we sell, any reversal we buy. Go back on the 1 hour. There is nothing to trade there. I think a running flat, another running flat could probably form here, but we don't really have much of a consolidation here, so I'll be careful of this. But if this goes up and make a flag, we'll definitely buy it. If it comes up here and start to drop, we'll probably assume that that's a running flat and you can put a sell setup here. So if it consolidates just to make a flag or a correction, something more like this, that would just be perfect. That would be the perfect sell setup. So you're selling until you get a buy setup. When we get the buy setup, then we'll take the trade. Pong. Same here. I think Pong does have some more downside. We spoke about that. We have to break this low before we'll consider it complete. We broke this low already. This doesn't mean anything. That was an old one. And we got that running flat here. That's a very old one. I think we put that more as a running flat, or you can go back and put this one as a running flat. It wouldn't matter which one you chose, right? So all depends on how you look at it. Like I said, there's a lot of very old drawing here, so you guys will have to forgive that. I used this computer a year ago, right? So some of those drawings are pretty old. You wouldn't see any new one in it. Some might be a year and a half old. So let's take them out. Sorry for that. I should clean it up before I come on. We were just testing the computer and I started doing it. I think you can bear with that for a second, right? So let's go. We're coming to break this low. Actually, not necessarily this low. We need to break this one, but we broke that already. So we're going to make an assumption that the next one they're going to break is this. Once we break that low, it could start to reverse, right? We were assuming that this here is all running flat. And that looked pretty good. Now, if you have the chance to ever go back and look at any of my webinar in this range, you would hear me say that when this was going up, that by itself could not be the start of the up move, or it's not confirming the start of the up move. What would confirm the start of the up move was if this started to consolidate to the top here. That would have confirmed the total reversal, which we were expecting. Now, we are likely going to break this low and then start an up move. That up move could be a very, very big up move. Don't ask me why. Just watch the chart, what it's doing, and we will see if and when that starts to happen. Very likely it could happen. So for now, all sells are possible, and we'll probably take them because I believe we have more downside here. So let's see if we're going to get. There's still a lot more to go. So any flag you get, any correction you get, you can sell. Buys we will still take because there's still a chance that this. Let's see if this has anything to go with it for running. I think guys, nope, nothing there, nothing here. So there's a chance that this sharp wave might just belongs to one here. Make a running flat, and then drop. So if you get a very sharp move, and instead of giving you a flag for a buy, it drops and give you a flag for a sell, we'll take that sell. Which means that sell will give us a running flat and then downside. Most likely, I believe we will get the sell set up here. I'm more inclined to get a sell until we break this. And then from there, well, we'll start to consider the upside happening. Aussie. Also going sideways. Aussie basically, the pattern is almost completed. It's a corrective structure. You can make an argument that this is enough of a correction for them to start go up, but that doesn't mean we can't pull back here, drop some more, and then go. Right? Do I expect this low to be broken? On the Aussie, I don't think we're expecting that. We're still expecting this to just be deep correction and then upside. How deep that correction is going to go? Well, we'll see. On the 4 hour, it's going down. I don't think we have anything for this as yet. And I don't think we're putting that as a, let me say the 1 hour, we're putting that with anything else there. Nope, not as yet. So there's a good chance we could get a move more up like this. We're not putting that with this one. Definitely not. I don't think it's, if this had gone higher, then probably we could have considered that. If this had more correction. So what you're going to assume is that any flag they make here now, any flag could be a sell. You get a flag here, you go for a sell. We'll take sells. Any reversal, we'll take the buy. Because unlike Pound, Euro and Aussie are already considered complete patterns, which means they have enough. How would it put that exactly? The point where the pattern can be considered complete is already reached, which means there is enough in it to say it's completed. All you have to do is wait for it to finish the last impulse, right? Once the last impulse is finished, that is okay. It will turn at some point. So let's look at New Zealand. New Zealand is the same thing. This is a correction downwards, not an impulse. So if you go in the higher time frame, you'll see we're dropping. We had an impulse up, and this is mostly correction coming down. Now, New Zealand, unlike Aussie, could have been a running flat. There could be an argument of whether you would put this as a running flat. We had that discussion many times, and I still think it's open to whether that's a running flat. If it is a running flat, this could come here, break the low, and then go back up. If it is not a running flat, we're going to go back up before we break the low. Doesn't matter to you whether it's a running flat or not. In our case, it doesn't matter. You're just waiting for this to give you any turning point in your buy. Because whether it stops here and go up or whether it stops here and go up, it will go up. The only question is how much sells you have in there before it turns. Right? How much more sells you're going to get before that turns. Well, we don't know that, and you don't have to know it. You just take every flag you get and sell it. That's what we've been doing all the time, right? Every flag we get for a buy, we will take. Every flag we get for a sell, we'll take. Every correction you get, which means if this makes a sharp move up here and start a drop, we will sell it from here because I'm going to go with a running flat there. there's a very good chance that is making money. So if that happens, we buy. If it makes a flag here, you can sell. Now it's starting to go really slow here. So I'll be careful with sells. A lot of them might just be break even. Take the break even in that case. Or when it starts to go really slow, you can just move your stop, survive one, move the stop on another one, and then stay with it. Right? Yen. This one is going to fall anytime. Question is when, but once it starts to fall, we'll sell. We sold this. We never get a flag there to sell that one. I think we sold it at 50 minutes at the top, but that was all. That's a sell there. At this point, we'll wait to see when this is going to drop. Right now, I don't think it's going to drop. Even if this comes here, I believe we have more upside. Right, so we'll have to wait. If we get a sell setup here, we'll take it. That's no question asked. We'll take it at least for this single drop and then the upside. But if it only comes to about this level here and start to go back up, it will be a buy. We'll go with that as a running flat for upside. If it comes here, make a flag, we'll sell it for this one. I think there's a chance you could get that and then go back up. Right, so we'll decide which one comes first. But on the big picture, I think all of you know this already. We have shown this many times. If you're following me, you know. So just a reminder, remember when we were looking at this, we knew we were going to go break that top. We never thought they would break this top, but they also broke that top. So, and it's going really far. So this would be some kind of a long drawn out running flat in the future, which is good. At least we know where it's going to go after that, right? And this was the one you were breaking to the upside. I think this was where, we were considering this was going to go up and break this top, and look where it is now. So take off everything from here. And from here, we'll start looking. Any sell setup we'll take, any buy setup we'll take. The buy setup with more caution. The sell setup you can take without thinking twice. Let's see, we actually had a sell setup. I don't know if any of my traders took it, but if you did, you did well. The first one you should have took would be this flag. That flag we should have taken. Whether or not you close and re-enter is a question, but in this case, we just discussed that. The first one is not your closing point, right? So you could have still been in that trade now, and it's still going very good. We'll wait for the next option. We'll wait for another one. I remember we took this one. I think it was this one or this one. We took one of that. We took this one. And we're going to take any of the sales set up to the downside. Some of the buys you can take as well, but any of the sales set up will take, which means this one should have been a trade. I wasn't there to do this, but I hope they took it. Anyways, wait for a flag sell. If this continues to make a flag, watch this area here. Watch it here. Right? You need a flag before it breaks this, right? Because if they just come here and turn, there's a good chance for it to go up one. You could take the buy. Right? These buys are going to be very short-term trade. The sells you can, move the stops and keep them for longer-term trade. They turn, they go back, either get break even, or you get a very big trade. The choice will be yours. CAD going sideways. Let's put it in the 4-hour. This is the bigger one. This was the bigger flat we had. For those who never followed me or first seeing my video for the first time, you might want to go back and look at some of my past videos, at least the one last week, and we're going up, right? But remember, we broke the top. So from that point, we thought it could fall, and we did sell it. I think we sold this. We sold that at a higher point because I'm in the 4-hour chart. We don't sell in the 4 hours, sell in the 1 hour. I think we had sales there. We had sales here. We had a few sales that came on, and then we closed them all because we started correct there. At that point, I thought we'd have a bigger flat here. I thought this would make a bigger flat and then drop. It didn't do that. It actually went up higher. So now we're at the top here. And now what could happen is it could make a big flat here and then. Now, you can make an assumption that this is already all the correction, but if that was all the correction, I think this would have gone. We would have had the impulse continue. If this is making some weird correction, bigger correction in here, then the chances are it will just continue to go. This would be a separate one. Most likely when you see consolidation in consolidation, what you're thinking of is a bigger running flat. We're thinking of at this point, sorry, not a straight line, that's straight line. What you're thinking of is this coming back to this level and then going back up, right? At least more upside, at least one more upside, and then it can still drop, breaking this top. Now, do we have a sell for the downside? Nope, not a sell. Do we have a buy setup? Not a sell. But if this comes back here to this low and decide to continue to go back up, that will be a buy setup. We will have a buy setup. So most likely, either it comes lower to this level and then go, or it comes to this level and then go. Either of those will be buy setups. So I think most likely what we'd see in the CAD is a buy setup, but we don't have any trade right now. There is no trade setup right now. Unless you want to trade it in a much lower time frame, which is much more dangerous. So put it in the Swiss. Swiss also came to the top. And like I said, at this point, if we think that is the top of the whole structure, at this point, they have to drop. Once it breaks this, though, I think if you were with us, you would remember we saw this coming down, at least to this level, and this is where your caution comes on. Why? Because this could be making some kind of a flat at the top there and continue to go. So at this point, once it turns, what you're looking for is buy setups, buy setups, buy setups. If this stays here, those buys would be break even, and then we'll be looking for a sell to the downside. Now, this would go down back because if you look at a bigger time frame, there's a big chance we're going to come back for this. We never really got that. So at some point, even if you break the top, you might make a deep pullback here and then go. So we could get something like this, which means a really deep pullback and then go. Somewhere in the future, that is likely going to happen, right? So let's see what we have here. Go back to the top. We can still buy for this to break the top, which means any flag you get, you can take the trade. Can this drop from this point? It can, but that's what it is. You don't normally see the patterns behave like that, where this pull back so deep and then go. So unless this convinces that there is a sell, which means not only just drop like this, but make a really good flag that stays at the bottom here for the sell, I would say we wait the next, right? We ignore this sell. If that happens, you're going to get a buy in the majors. Other ones, you're going to get a sell maybe in yen, which if I have a sell in the yen and the yen, a sell on the Swiss, I would take the sell in the yen, right? That's just simple. So you just choose some other pair to trade if you're getting a setup here that you don't like, which means there's a good setup, but you don't see the longer term trade. You see the longer term trade in the yen. So if you have a sell in the yen CAD and the Swiss, or at the same time you got to buy in the euro, pound, Aussie, New Zealand, you will take the euro, the Aussie, New Zealand, you will skip the pound. You'll take the sell in the yen, you'll skip the sell in the CAD and the Swiss. That's simple. You just chose which trades you're going to take based on what is moving in. If you see them on all the dollar pairs, likely the dollar moving. Make it simple. You don't have to take the ones that are too risky. Silver. At some point, this has to go up. Now, the question is from where? We already broke the low. That was the most important thing, breaking the low. Right? Breaking these lows here. But now it's actually coming down really, really strong. So the question is how low it's going to go. Now, at some point, I don't think we're coming back to break these lows, because then we'll have to come back and decide whether we got the contracting flat wrong, and it's instead of the contracting flat, it's an expanding flat. So right now we were looking at this as a contracting flat, right? These are all the charts. Look at those drawings, right? So we're looking at this as a possible contracting flat, and this would be the end of the structure. What if we were wrong about that? What if instead of that being the contracting flat, this is an expanding flat? Well, in that case, I didn't think we were going to get all of this here. I think we're just going to drop from that point. Just like this reverse. See that reversal point there? There was no consolidation. And that's the reason why I think it's not an expanding flat. If you ever ask that question, it's not. Most likely this would go back up. So there's a good chance that this here would eventually go back up, right? Can it be that it doesn't go back up, but it actually stays in here for a longer period of time, then go? Well, that is possible. I can see that possibility as well. Either we stay in this range for a longer period of time, or we actually turn and go back up. So now that you're in the low, what you look for is any buy setup you will absolutely take, any sell setup you take with caution, right? So I didn't see a sell setup here last week, and I didn't think any of my traders should be trading anything here within a sell. Even though you thought that was a flat there, if you take the trade here, you better close it. It's not going anywhere. By rule, you should not be in that trade. Now, can we get a reversal from any of this point? Absolutely. If we do, we'll take the trade. Right now, there is just no trade set up there. And I would not be selling silver at this point. It's not worth the trade, the risk, right? Gold, on the other hand, might be better sell if you want, because we are just still coming to the low. We haven't really broken the low on the gold as yet. And the low that we're looking at is this one. I mean, most of those were setups that is old. So I'll put this here. And I'll take this off. Let me just take off all of this. Good. So we haven't broken this low as it. So there's a chance this could go lower. So if I get selling on silver and gold, I'll take the gold sell. I'll leave the silver alone, take the gold sell. We already don't have any sell setup, but if you're making an assumption that this could be some kind of a running flat, expanding flat, or anything like that, they could probably come here and then drop. That is an argument. You can go with that. If you think that it's just making small flags dropping, then that could also be an argument. This could be an argument that this is a running flat in the middle there. This one goes back like this and drop, and this all becomes something like a 1, 2, 3. With this having a 1, 2, 3 in the middle, probably more like that. This having a 1, 2, 3 there, then you made a 1, 2, 3 here. You come then back, you made another 1, a 2, and a 3 there. It's still going to be an expanding or running flat. The whole thing is either expanding or flat. So sell setup here would be more likely what you take. If you get a sell setup, you can take the sells. The sells on gold would be much better than the sell on silver because we haven't broken it up. XPT, we haven't looked at this in ages, which means this watch list is very old, and a lot of the pairs we normally looked at would not be here. A lot of crypto pairs would not be here. I'll add them on later. So in this case, if I do that, what I'll do is I'll do an update to the weekly outlook for you guys, maybe tomorrow or the day after. All right. So we don't look at this for a long time, but since it's on, let's take a look, see what happened. What is it in the bigger picture? Actually, you're still in this one. They did break out of this once, they pull back, they break out of it twice. So you can make an argument whether we're still in the down move and whether we've already had the bigger corrections. Right? Because we're in this trade here now. Right? This one is too sharp. I don't think that would be all the correction. It is corrective, but it might be a little too sharp for that, right? Like this here. It's a corrective structure, but it doesn't have a, it's more of a smaller version, just like this would be corrective. So you get a lot of these corrections, then you drop here and you did it. And that didn't go above the top, so we can't take that as an impulse, which means we're going to stay in this range for a longer period of time. What is the bigger picture in that? Now, here's the question. Can we take this as the running flat from this point here? We were expecting this to go back to that level. That is why that line is there. Put there a year ago. That line was put there a year ago, and it's still there to show you what we were thinking, because we were thinking this was going to go up to that point and then drop. Now it's stuck in the middle here, so we still have the option of it going there, which means this could still be a correction that goes there and then come down. All right, that's an option. Or the second thing is, well, this is all you have. That's your running flat, and this one is actually coming down. So any sell setup you get here might be worth taking. If it goes up, give you a flag, we'll buy to that level. So now you go into the 1 hour and you see whether it's actually doing that or not. Right? The big picture tells us that it could be over, or you could still be in that. The smaller picture said this still looks like a flag for upside, not a flag, a correction for upside. So I think if we get any reversal with a flag here in the 1 hour, would be a buy. And the 1 hour is still going down. So nothing here. I don't even see a sell setup. Although this one was sharp, this one is coming down. I don't see a sell setup. This is perfect. You've got that flat there. I think it's the entire piece. You got a 1, you got a 2, you got a 3. This is coming down. There are a lot of good sell setups here. This one, maybe not. This one, maybe not. This one, I think you can run with that as a running flat, or you can get a running flat here. This comes back here, make an impulse and a flag, you consider buying. Right? So the buy setup here would be good as well. EUR CAD. Let's go to the daily. Okay, so this one never actually broke the top. They came down all the way. So you've got a really huge running flat possibility forming here. Right? We never got anything for that sharp wave in the middle. We're expecting this. Once it started to consolidate, we expected this to actually break that up and then come back, which didn't happen. So we'll have to go and see whether there was a contracting flat. I can't remember, that's a year ago, whether there was a contracting flat at the top there. We might have made an argument for something like that, or we would just consider this a deep correction. If this one did break out, it didn't go. Most likely I'll put it like this, because we broke that top, but we didn't break out, we came down. So this one didn't come down from that point. So let's see what happens here. put it like this. We never actually broke out of the top, so we're still in the consolidation, which means if this dropped from that point without breaking the top, this is correction in this move. And then we are still in this one, right? I don't think that's a big correction, of course. If you go with that as a big correction there, where this is an impulse, well, then we'll probably go break the low. Let's see, did we broke the low already? Oh, we broke this low already, so that one is out. Let's see where we're in the weekly. So this is not the top. This is the, I think this one or this is, we have to check which one of those, which one of those is the top. If this is the top, then this would make sense for a big flat here. Right, that's the top. If this one is the top, then we are going to have a very sharp move here sooner or later to match with that. Right, it always comes. Even when you think it's not going to come, it always comes. You always get those sharp moves to match. So at some point you're going to get it. Let's go back in the 1 hour and see. We're very close to this low. If they're going to break that low before it goes back up, right? If we're going to break this low before we go back up in the bigger picture, right? There's nothing else lower than that I can see here. We're going to break that low, we can still sell it flags. But any reversal would be a good trade. Right? You have to be careful. Wait for the flags for these reversals. See, there are sharp moves that don't go. That will assume you're making a lot of running flats there. So if I'm going to get into any buy here, I want to see a flag at the top here, which you didn't get. This would have been one I would wait for a flag. If I was here, I'd be waiting for this to break to the upside, which didn't happen. To drop, no problem. You get this, we'll probably consider running flat here now. And then downside. So if you get a sell setup, one impulse, take the trade. Take the trade for the next impulse down and be on the caution side. Euros. Okay, so Euros, not a surprise. This actually did exactly what we wanted to do. We're looking at this as a correction. We're breaking out. So we did break the top. We expected to break this top and then they consolidate here, and we expected that to break this top, and they broke the top and it starts to come down. So if we consolidate here, you see a consolidation there, and it will be a very, well, it will take a while, maybe I'm in a day, 4 hours, so that'll take a couple of days. We will start to consider this dropping back to break the low. The trade will be, this is going back down. It might just do this and go back up one more before it drops, or it could totally drop. So if it consolidates there, we look for sell setups. I think we're clearly consolidating. Right, we haven't got a clear pattern yet, which means this is the sell setup. But because this one is kind of sharp, you've got a flat there, but because it's kind of sharp, so you have to anticipate they can come here, go back up to the top there, maybe even stay here for a while, but minimum 1, 2, 3, and then drop. So if that happens, you will definitely close your sell and go in. So right now we have a sell set up, and if it's going to make a long running flat, we can take this sell. So for my traders, we put this as a sell. Watch this when it drops to this low, close to the low. Remember, it can go back to test the stop. So you have to keep a bigger stop than that, right? You have to keep a stop somewhere above that level. But you're not going to live with that, which means if this breaks here and starts to go back up, take break even. I think we just discussed this very chart before we started the recording and the live session, right? We had a discussion in trading was this one. So we'll put the entry for those of you who wanted to test what we were showing in the trading room. We'll put the entry in this one for a sell. This will be the first trade that we're putting on for the day. It's a sell. And we'll manage it during the day, right? You'll have enough time to exit that trade if it doesn't break. Now, again, there is a chance, remember that we had a small flag here. There is a chance this comes here and go back up with a 1, 2, 3 to this level and then drop. Break of the top, we'd look for a sell setup, right? This would become a break-even trade and we'll look for a sell setup. If it's making a running flat, we're going to go much lower. Euro New Zealand. This one came down with some more too. Not surprising. Again, we're going to relook at this one because we have to decide whether this would make a new low. We assumed that the last time that this was going to be the low, right? That was the assumption that this one is going to be the low. And since that is not the low, well, we don't know that as yet. This could come back. Well, it's not taking off like a rocket like we expected. It's going really slow. So at some point this year, could come back, break the low and go. If this is all the flat you have, let's assume that is making a flat for upside. At some point, it's going to turn. What's happening to my drawing tool? Right? If this is a big flat forming at the top, because this was very corrective going up, right? If that happens and you think that's a big flat for one more up, any turn will buy. And you will definitely buy this, right? You know the reasons, all the big trades we're expecting. So go on the 1 hour. If we get any buy setup here, it will be a must. If you get a sell, you can take it to caution. I really don't like the sell here. I can see this is a 1, 2, 3. I can see this is 1 and that is 1, depending on whether you put it with this one, right? Put it that one, it's over. If you didn't put it that one, the chances are it will come here, make this flat, and then drop one more. It depends on whether we have something at the top there for this one. And I believe we do, right? Yeah, there's a lot of sharp ways, so you can make an argument. Any sell setup here you can take, but it's going to be very, very careful. Because if it's going to turn, we're close to the turning point. If it's going to drop lower, sell the euros. The euro is the better sell than this one, right? Euro Swiss, 24 hour. Daily, where we are. Okay, take that out. This one did go up. It didn't do what we expected. We expected to go and break this top. That's why I had it there, break the top, and then come on back. They did break the top. They did go down back, and now we have this bigger flat. I think we pretty much did that perfect when we forecast all the movement, and now it's going down. So let's see if we break this low. I think that's the monthly, yearly low. Let's see the weekly where we are. Yep, that's the bigger low. So the question here now we have is whether we're going to break this low and then go back up, or we're going to go back up before we break the low. That's the only question that's open right now for us. So on the 1 hour, any trade we can take. We can take sell setups. We still have, places to go. There's still more. And we will absolutely take any buy setup. Right now, we don't have anything, but if it makes a flag, we'll buy it. Anywhere you get a flag, we'll take the trade, right? Now, you can make an argument of whether this is a corrective structure of its own or whether we're making a running flat here. Wait for flags. Any flag here will buy. Any reversal, you can take the trade. It's a single trade to the downside, so you have to be very careful there. Euro Yen. I don't know. This looks like it's still, we're expecting this to go down, but it still looks like it's going to make. So these were, this was when this one was put there. That was in December 21. That was when I was in Moscow the last time, and then I left after December. We left, so you can see that this one here was getting this to go up there. It actually dropped first and then go back up, but it did go, right? So I think remember when it turned from there and we were trading that coming down, and then I literally said, even if they break this low, we're still gonna go back up. Go back, watch that webinar, will be interesting. So from this point, it had to come to break this top. That was the first one that we will show you is gonna go break that top. The second one was when it made this flat, it has to go break that top, right? Well, they did break the top. As you can see, we did break the top. So now the question is, can it go higher than that? And yes, it can go higher than that, which means we can expect this to go one higher. It can go one higher, break the top again, but then it's going to drop. Now, the question is this the downside? I would really go with that as the downside if I thought that if this one hadn't gone back to that top and make something with traders like it on double top, but it's actually a correction, a very deep correction into that structure. Really deep correction. So I don't think this is starting the downside as yet. But at the point now, we don't have any buy setup. So unless you get a buy setup, you can buy it. And if we get a sell setup, you'll have to take that with caution, which means if you're already in the sell, I'll be very careful. If I want to go on long-term sell, I want to see this make a sharp move back to this level and start dropping. We would put this as a running flat. And this would confirm that it could be going down big time, which means it could be going down much more. At this point, any sell you take, you have to be very, very careful. Right? Because the sells from this point might just make the final impulse, then go back, make a top, and then drop. Let's see which happens. Euro pound. We have a sell setup, we'll take the trade. Any sell setup we get here, we'll take the trade. Actually, the sell setup would have been from here. I'm on the 4 hour, but I wasn't there when this happened, but this was a sell setup here, or there was a flag there for a sell setup. So that is the trade we should take, right? We can expect this to drop and break below again. Let me take out all of these drawings we have on it. So On the big picture, we can expect this to drop, break the low. Yeah, there's a good chance we could break that low. I don't think we're going up totally, but we'll have to wait and see, how the structure behaves. So we dropped. I think this could be a bigger drop. We actually break through the actual structure. Let's see what happens there. There was a flat actually here for a sell. There was a very nice 1 over flat there for a sell. So anybody who sold this would have closed the trade, and you can put the entry under the low. So this trade was a trade. By rule, you close that trade, you re-enter, and you close it again. This trade should have been taken and closed twice, right? So if you follow the 1 hour rule for trading, you would have taken the trade, closed the trade, re-enter, close the trade. I think by now you know what I mean, right? My traders know what I mean. Can we buy here? Well, if it actually breaks the stop, if it breaks this stop here and make a flag, we'll buy. We'll buy short-term buys to see how far it goes. But any drop from here would be a sell setup. And any drop from there would be a sell setup. CAD, you sold it, you close it. I don't know, 1 hour you sold it, you closed it, or you took the break even. And let's see what the big picture is. Okay, we made a low here, so this could be the upside starting. Let's see. This move down is really, really strange compared to where we were on the bigger correction. So let me go back to the big correction. Come on. We're like in this big correction here, starting from this point. And this deep correction here never really broke this top, which is strange. Now, when that happens, what you can do is you can assume two things. You can assume a running flat forming here, somewhere in the future. A running flat form there, they go back down, come back up, and then drop. That will complete this whole pattern. And that is okay, that happens pretty often. That would be just a normal running flat. Or you can assume we had a contracting flat somewhere in here that we missed. Right, a contracting flat somewhere there that we missed. If we miss that contracting flat, that means this could go down more. Now, if you're looking at the bigger structure here, it doesn't have quite a lot to go because you had a 1, a 2, and a 3 here. Very sharp. You got a 1. If this is complete, you have a 2 and you have a 3. This is a bigger flat than that one, which means there's a very good chance you're going to go back up for a 1. You're going to make it 2 and you're going to make it 3, or you're going to make a single one coming all the way to this top and then drop. Now, I could ask all of you here where we have a pattern like that, and I'm pretty sure my traders would tell me the answer to that one, right? So where we have a big 1, 2, 3, a 1, 2, 3, and then one sharp move, and now we're actually going the opposite direction. But because the webinar, I wouldn't do it right now here, but I hope all my traders know the answer to that one. So we'd have to go back and check to see if there's anywhere here that we missed a contracting flat. And this is just a big flat for a downside, right? When it was consolidating at the top, we thought this here, we thought that was kind of making a 1, 2, 3, go back up, break this top, make this one here, and then come down. But if you go back and you look at it, since we break this low, two things again, like I said, either a running flat or either we missed the contracting flat. Can we look at this here as a contracting flat? I think that is possible because we did have this big correction here. Initially, that's what we thought. That was a contracting flat, that one would come here and come down. Those were the thought process until this starts to happen. And this is a rare thing. It happens rarely where you have a very big flat at the top and then it starts dropping from there. If you have a contracting flat in front of that, that will be very confusing. Right? If you had a regular flat in front of that, that would be easy to trade. Right? So if this is a contraction in front of that, then that would be confusing. I still am not excluding the running flatters here, which means the complexity of this going back up and making a running flat is still open. Now, do we have anything for this one? Let's see. Nope, not that I can see, at least not in the close. We'll have to look at a higher price, which means there could be a sharp move up here and one more drop. This came down really slow, and we have a very sharp move here. I remember buying this. I think we bought that. I remember that. So if this goes up here and make a flag, we'll buy it for this one. We'll buy it for at least one single move. And then we'll see if it's a running flat for downside or if it's not to go. If they consolidate here, you have one sell. If this consolidate here, you have one drop, they profit. Because from here, it can literally go back up. That running flat is very likely going to happen. Us. Big picture, we're still consolidating. You can literally see. Remember that contracting flat on the Franc CAD? So the question we'll start asking ourselves, do we think there's a contracting flat there? I don't think so. We don't normally make the forecast for contracting flats. So I would assume that this here would probably come back here. Go back up, come back down, go back up and then down. There's a good chance that is going to happen. If I'm wrong, we'll have a contracting flat somewhere. So first we have to look at what's happening in this. Go back on the 1 hour. We broke this stop, which is good. That's good news. This could come down now from here. It is coming down. So let's put this correct. It should be like this. Yeah, those are the two sharp waves. It is coming down. You do have a possibility for a sell setup here. And we can make an argument we're going to have a sell setup. Either you already sold it from that point or you're waiting for it to come, make a flag, sell for this drop. Let's see when it comes to this level what happens. Most likely we can break that low. Right? It's still in the consolidation, so it doesn't necessarily have to break that low, but if it does, that'd be a good trade. The sell setup would be a good idea. If you got the first sell, but if you don't have the first sell, just wait till the next sell setup. Can it make more upside? Well, it can, you probably wouldn't buy it. If this is a correction to go back up, I think unlikely you'll get a buy setup. Wait for the sell. That was a good idea. So I'll probably put this as a sell in the making because we don't have the flag as yet. But when we get the flag, we can take the trade. Pound New Zealand, big picture, all of them in consolidation. See, everything is in consolidation. Here is the problem with this. We're consolidating at the top here as well. Yeah. We're consolidating at the top here. And if you consolidate at the top here, the chances are you will have to go break that top. Most times they'll go break the top before it drops. So again, is there a contracting flat somewhere in there? And I don't see a contracting flat in there. It's very hard to forecast contracting flats. And if you make it a habit to forecast contracting flats, you're going to get yourself confused, right? So this all after this one all looks like just consolidation. Can you make an argument for 1, 2, 3 there? Maybe this one is coming down really slow. Do we have a sell setup in it? Unless you got a very, very good sell setup, don't take the trade. Let's see. All trades in here can be treated as very short-term trades within that range. Right? All trades you take can be very short-term. I can see why this might be a good sell. It's more like a 1, 2, 3 there. You made a flat there. This drop pull back. Not a very good one because you're actually consolidating here. So any sell you get here could be, dangerous for the upside. I think you just if you take a flag, trade it in a 15, take a flag, take the profit off immediately. Like, don't keep the trade for long. It's not going to work long. We're still in the middle of the consolidation, right? This was a trade we took. We didn't keep it. You either make small profit break even. This is a trade you take. You didn't have to keep it. This is a trade you could have taken for 1, 2, 3. That would have been a break even trade. If you get a flag here, it's a trade you can take to come and retest that low. Just one drop, take drop, or break even. Pound Swiss. Let's go back on the 4 hour. I don't know where those lines came from. They were 100 a year also. We take them out. And we're looking at this year. And there's a lot of lines in this thing. This is a year away. Yeah. This is the power of it, right? This was when 2021 December. This was that had to be there. Yep, December 20. That's when that one went there for this to go back up. I was explaining this to some traders, right? This coming back here and then going back up. The magic works. Always does. So we can take all of those stops out from there, take everything off. The only thing we need now is one single drawing. Let's go back to the weekly. I want to see what the bigger picture looks like. Oh boy, this is one slow move to the downside. I think that's a correction of its own, but if you look at it as a possible running flat with this, then we could be retesting this low. It all depends on how you look at that piece in the middle there. If you look at this as a running flat, which is possible because you do have some deep corrections in there. Then the possibility is this could come to break below and then go back up. Very slow move down. I mean, really slow. At some point, we thought this was going to make one more up and then come down. And that didn't happen. So it dropped. Let's go back to the 4 hour. We're at the bottom now. We already dropped to this correction. We knew this one was going to drop. This one was not a question of whether it's going to drop. Right. I think we were all trading it in the weekly outlooks and the daily trade. We even did some daily one. So this point is, if you made 1, 2, 3 and you drop, you can actually look at this as going to drop one more. There's a good chance this will drop one. Now you're still in the consolidation of this, so it all depends on whether you want to sell it inside the consolidation or wait for a breakout. If you sell inside the consolidation, the chances are you're going to get more consolidation. It could just drop a little and go right back up. So this here could just drop here and go right back up, or it could drop to the bottom. Taking a trade like that, depending on your skill level and your ability to manage it, right? A lot will depend on your skill level, taking this as a running flat. I think it's a running flat. I believe this one is going to drop here. It might or might not get to this level. It could go back up, but it could also drop to the bottom. So for my traders, you have an idea what you're going to do. We can put a sell setup here. And you manage it from there. I'll put it as a sell. And you just manage the trade from there. It could break through this low, or it could stop short of breaking through and go back up. The choice will be yours. You take the trade and how you manage it. You know the rules of managing, right? So let's go. Aussie is having a nice flag there on the 1 hour. And New Zealand is also having a nice flag on the 1 hour. We didn't put those sell, but I noticed they pulled back. So let's see the Aussie 1 hour. Yeah, you're getting a flag there for a sell. You can take that trade. So 1 hour sell, it's a single drop you go for. And we'll put it as a sell. Right, you'll have to manage your way out of that. I think New Zealand has it. It's pulling back, so that will give you also. New Zealand dollar has the same trade. This already went back. So once it comes back to there, that's a 1 hour sell set. Right, you'll manage it as a 1 hour trade. Let's go down. We were in what? Pound Yen, Pound Swiss, we finished Pound Yen. Go back to the daily, sorry. Let's go for here. Again, we broke that top here, but it's not going down. So they got all of these. We broke the top there, but this is not going down. So I don't think we were actually starting with downtrend. Downtrend will always start with very sharp impulse, most likely, right? Not a pullback to the top like this. So if we do that, we're actually consolidating in this zone. Somewhere in here, there's a consolidation going on. We've got a sharp move here, so at some point this has to go back to make another sharp move and then come back because we don't have anything for that to go with. Okay, Valerie, for our traders, Valerie just posted something. You guys can take a look at that. We'll come to it. So there's a good chance we are going to have a sharp move up like this. If you're selling it here, there might be sell setups that will form. We don't have any right now. But if you get a flag here and you sell it to break below, assume that they're going to go back to make a running flat at the top here. Right, keep that. We don't know how low it's going to go, but keep that assumption open, which means you're going to move your stop and manage your trade. Right? Let's go. Oh, New Zealand yen. All the yen pairs, I think, have that consolidation at the top they're going on. So you can take the sell setups. We're going to take sell setups on the yen, but you will have to manage them. This is only for my traders because they know the rules of how we take trade and how we manage them, right? So this has a sell setup, but again, you'd have to be careful how you manage that trade as it goes, right? CAD Yen. This might be the only one that looks upside rather than downside, right? Because this consolidation here could go up a little higher, break that top, then come back here and then go, completing this pattern. Remember, we're completing that pattern there. So there's a good chance it could go a little up more, come back here, and then go. Can it drop from this point for a contracting flat? I don't know. I don't like to make the forecasting contracting flat. So unless it drops, make a flag, we wouldn't sell it, right? Let's see if the drop makes a flag, then we sell. Swiss yen. Perfect sell setup. Go to the 1 hour, I think you have a sell setup. A sell setup you should probably have been in already, but if not, wait for a small flag and then sell. All right, this has a very good sell setup. You should be in that trade already. If you're not in, then wait for a flag. If it makes a flag, you sell. It doesn't make a flag, it could tip this low and go back up for a deeper correction. But if it makes a flag, it's a good sell. Aussie yen. We're pretty much in the sideways again here. See? We broke the top, but we're not really dropping. So the only way you would ask is it making some kind of a running flat here? This is what I would assume. That this thing is making some weird running flat here before it goes down. If we're going down. If we're still going up, this is the B part of it, right? So put it in the 1 hour now. You have a move up, that's good. You have a 1, 2, 3 down. We have another move up here. Can we assume that that is over? Yeah, you can make that assumption. If that is over, then this is going down. Right, this is a 1, 2, 3 of its own, just like this is a 1, 2, 3. So this could come a little lower, but then it may or may not go back because this is the top. That's an all-time top. So let's take any sell we get here. Right? If you're already in the trade, good. If you're not in the trade, any sell setup you get, we'll take. Any flag it makes, so now we'll take the trade. We'll go with the sell and see how far that takes us. It's making flags, so wait for it, take the trade. Once it breaks this low, get it to break even. Aussie, New Zealand. You're in this consolidation, but you have a flag in the middle of it. So the call is yours. Depending on your skill level, you can, I wouldn't, it's too close to the low. Put an entry under the low. The safest place, the safest way to take this trade is put an entry under this low. Let them break through the whole structure. Let them break through this and then prove downside. It will be an easier trade to manage from there because this could literally just do this and go right back up and then drop. I think that is a possibility. I wouldn't exclude that possibility. Aussie Swiss, sorry, Aussie Swiss. You have a nice trade setup here, right? Yep. I think this is the one Valeria is telling you guys about. So there's a nice trade setup. It's actually in a 1 hour as well. You're looking for that. That's a nice 1 hour trade. Go with it. You can make an argument that you already had a flat in here. You have a 1, 2, 3. This is a good sell setup. Drop, go with the trade. At least back to the low. What's the bigger picture? Let's see. One, two, three. That did it didn't go as far as I think this was an equivalent of this. Yeah. It didn't go that far, but it went up enough. And now it's actually coming down. So let's take all of this out. All right. And now we are here. Here's the problem with this. See this at the top there? It's not making a lot of sense for downside. So I feel that all of this is still in some kind of a consolidation. And this dropping to this level here would go back up, would go back up like this to the top there. So you have one drop, take the trade. That's a 1 hour trade. It probably could drop like this and go right back up like that. Complete this flat, go back here, and then go up. Now I could put those arrows like I put this one, and you could come back a year from now and see how it works. But you know, that's analysis. The idea is how do you get this trade going down, and that's why we're taking that sell. That's the whole point. Is how do you get the daily trade? And it's the same thing. The patterns are the same in any given time frame. If you know how to forecast them, you will be, you know, you make well with it. So I put it this way, and those of you who follow me could follow. I think we're going to drop a little here because we have a flag there. We're likely going to go back up. Break or don't break the low is irrelevant. We're going to go back up. It only would decide whether it's a regular flat or running flat. And then we're going to come back here. And it's not in a straight line as these arrows go. It's wave analysis. So don't assume that they're going to go one sharp up, one sharp down. Don't take it literally. Understand that these are just forecasts for directions, right? The first trade was a sell, right? Aussie CAD, same thing. We've got a 1, 2, 3. We're in a big correction. This is a sharp move. It didn't break the top, so we're in some kind of a correction still. Do we have a trade to go anywhere? Now, you can make an argument whether this is going to drop and put a sell setup, but there's a high probability that instead of going down, this one is going to go back up break the top here, and then drop. I would probably go with this as a running flat. Expand the flat. Go back to the top here, and then drop. If you're wrong about that, put an entry order here to sell. Take off that entry order if it comes to the top, and then look for the sell setup. Right? Do we have anything else that we need to look at? What's the big picture of this? Yeah, it could go back up like this one. We still have this one open. But there's still chance for it to go back up there, make a flat, come on back here, and then go. So we'll see. Put an entry order for the seller and see what it does. So we'll put this as a sell. We'll put this as a sell. This one is not going to go, but put it as a sell. When it goes up, we'll take it off. New Zealand Swiss. If you're going to sell this, you have to really, really be careful. See how this thing is going. We don't have anything but this unless you put it with this one. You can make an argument for that. And if this is making a 1, 2, 3 here, then the chances are, it could kind of go back up all the way, or it could just come back here and drop again. We'll bend this flat together. We'll come down here, we'll go back up and then. Sorry, guys, those are the options. What do we have in the 1 hour? Let's see. Nothing as yet. Nothing that I would want to trade. And I can see this flat in here. That was a good sell there. It dropped already. There's a good chance you're going back up to this one. And then come down. Do we have a buy setup? No, not as yet. Right? There isn't a buy setup because you have this short hold here. You want it to come back here and then go. If it does that, that could be a buy setup. So we can wait for a buy setup here. I'll put this, although Aussie has sell setup, we'll put this as a possible buy setup. Now this might become just a flat, which means it comes here, go back up there and draw. We'll have to get break even, but we can take the trade with the flag from here. Let's see how we get it and then we'll decide. New Zealand CAD. This one is already going, so not much here to get. There was a little flag there that's already gone. Let's see in the big picture what it looks like. You already had a running flat here. So this could either make another small running flat and drop or totally go back up. I think very likely we're going to get another small running flat here because we don't have anything for this. So there's a good chance this one will just come back to this level here and drop, making this a running flat. We just discussed how to trade these trades, right? When you get them like that. Go back on the 1 hour. We don't have a buy setup. If you wanted to buy it, you're supposed to buy it above this top here, which is gone. Wait for it to go to the top here, see if it's a running flat, and then we'll look for the sell setup. Right? New Zealand Swiss. This one actually came and we tested though. This didn't come down, but it actually crawled its way up back to the top. You only saw it at this point when we were trading, right? That's where we've seen it, but you did get that up move. Let's take that out now. Let's take everything out. And we're in this sideways move, which is very interesting because you can make an argument that this was your running flat. I think we discussed this many times. I explained this was the only one that has these slow moves like this coming here. And the question is that ready to go back up? Or are we still going to make a new drop and then go? That's the only question. So you go to the 1 hour and you see, do we have buy or sell setups? And right now we don't have either of those. We don't have a buy. This is most likely looking like a sell setup here. But because we have this sharp drop and because we have that sharp drop, there's a good chance you're looking at a running flat. So this could crawl its way up to that. You really wouldn't buy this here, right? It's not a buy setup. It's not a really good buy setup, so to put it that way. So let's wait and see what it does. If it goes break the top, we'll see for any flag above the top we'll buy. Or if it's going to drop, well, you're going to get another trade, not the sell in this one. You can put a sell here, actually. It wouldn't make a difference if you put the sell. It will only make a difference if it actually drops, right? So you can put a sell setup here. But because of that, the running flat possibility, I think we might just go break the top, right? Because of these sharp waves that has that running flat. Let's assume I'm wrong. They're going to drop to the bottom. So put it for a sell. And if it doesn't go, we wait for it to break the top, make a flag, and then buy. Pretty simple. All right, let's keep it like that. CAD Swiss. That's the big picture. We're coming back to this top because these are all sharp waves. These are all sharp waves. So this one is probably going to work its way back to the top and then drop. You probably have a buy set up there. Let's see the 1 hour. Yeah, you can make it not the best buy set, but you can make an argument that this is some kind of a consolidation going on here. And this is going to go up. So there's a buy set up there. Can we put the entry above the top? You'd have to, I think you'd have to look at this whole thing to decide whether it's a good idea to put it there, wait for it to break, make it flat. If it comes a little low, it would be a good idea. Copper, we don't trade. We haven't traded this for a while. Let's see what it looks like. It's coming down from there, so we'll have to have the bigger chart to decide what you're doing. If I'm going to be looking for sell setups on the 1 hour, if you take sales, take it with caution. But if it makes a 4 hour or a daily correction like this, that would be the best sell setup. If you get a 4 hour daily correction, would add to it. For the 1 hour, if you get a running flat there, the sell would be perfect. So if this just comes here, go back there, give you a flat, the sell would be perfect. Go for it. Wait for the flat, then take the sell. Natural gas. Amazing, right? So I assume that was a sell setup, and I assume this was a sell setup. Both turned out to be good. Let's take this off. And this is what we have, right? Now, this one was relatively sharp, not extremely sharp. This one is relatively sharp. So we can make an assumption that somewhere here, there could be a possibility of a running flat with this going back to the top, right? If not, if this is not a running flat, let's go to the weekly. How does your bigger structure looks like? If that is not a running flat, and this is a correction of its own, it's possible you can make an argument that that's a small correction there of its own. And this would have to make something like that there. And that would confirm downside. So you find the range at the bottom there and you see if it's tradable range and trading it until it drops. Right? 4 hour. Yep, it's tradable range. You traded some trades down. You had a buy setup. There's a buy setup here. You close to break even. You have a buy setup there. You that trade. Watch the trade. If it doesn't go, close it to break even. Because it could make a range here and then drop, which means this could be a range forming, right? This is your first move up. This could start to make a range and then drop. So you have to be careful. You can take the buy, but with caution. US oil. Okay, I wasn't there for a couple of days. We were expecting this to go back up. It's not going back up as yet. And I still don't want to take contracting flat in that as yet. So let's wait and see. One more drop is possible. I can see them breaking this low. And then we'll see if it goes up from there. If you're in the sell, there is no, I don't see a sell setup here. I really don't see a sell setup. You could have been in the buy, which you close to break even. Because it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hours for break even. You got break even twice within the 9 hours. Do we have a sell setup here? No, unless it makes a flag. It makes a flag, you get a sell. This was a sell. I think this here, when we thought that would be a sell, this here could have been a sell just to break this low, close the trade, right? We don't have a sell setup now. Actually, if it becomes a buy, you can buy it, which means if this thing started going up from here, you should put a buy. Put a buy entry here and keep it. I'll put it as a buy. We don't have a clear buy setup because we assume that they can come and break this up again. Based on the patterns we're looking at, I think we can put that buy setup on it. If it goes lower, you take it off. And if it comes lower into this one, take it off. It's a flat for downside. Same here. If it goes lower into this, you take it off. Okay, well, I think this one was clear to us. We're still coming down. We're making, and this one we had already, so this wasn't a big deal. Let's look at it 4 hour. This might be the big flat forming here. So we'd have to come back like this. And then go back up, completing this one. It all depends on how low this come here before we decide if this is a flat for downside or if this is a flat for upside. So if you get a sell setup, take it. Start looking for buys after that. Wait for a flag here, so we get a flag here to confirm the sell. So I'll put a flag in the making, and that might apply to one of them. Maybe not this one. Leave this up for now. Right? Let this drop here. Don't go to the sellers. As that. Same here. Watch this sell setup. If you get a sell setup to come back to this level, and either break or go back up. So it all depends on how deep it goes, right? There is a short-term seller you can go with to come back and retest these lows. Wait for a flag. There's not a flag there, but if you think that's a running flat, took an entry for the sell. Same here. Same structure. They pull back, they go back. We don't have a trade. You don't have a sell setup here though. There isn't the sell setup in that. We're still in the consolidation. We haven't broken that, so we're still in the middle of the consolidation. No buy setup here. Nifty. Go with the buy. You still have a buy setup here now. I think we close that trade on Nifty, but you have another buy setup, right? So if it's going to drop, one more, wait for flags and stuff. Do we have any selling flag? No. Let it drop some more, make flags sell. At this point, this looks more like it's more like a buy setup. Short term. Watch this if it goes lower, right? Because we bought here, but at some point you move that stuff, and close that trade. Okay, we don't look at this one. What is this? I don't know. We don't do that. I'll take it off. Let's go. I'm gonna go through this really quick because now we have to go. They're gonna make the new lows. I think we will make a new low because this is more of a flat here now. That's much more of a flat. So this could probably come make a new low, then go back up. Be careful. When I left, that was the thought process, right? That they could all make a new low. All of them go make new lows and then go back up. All of them should be the same. Go make a new low. Then this might be the only one that does. Let me see. There were one or two of them that didn't have to make new lows. No, this could go make new low. This could actually come here and then go back up. They're actually ending, right? That's a running flat, I think, and we're kind of ending the structure before we go back up. So I don't think we need to go through all of them. That would be the basic thing for all of them. Go to make new low and then go back up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up back, so back the watch list, add the order trade that the ones I don't have here, and then we're going to go from here, right? So guys, let me stop the recording here for my YouTube viewers. If you manage to come to the end and you like it, please share it. For my traders, you should be doing that all the time.